for the past 5 years, I've been a fairly non-traditional pastor.
Welcome, Ben, to my podcast. Amazing to see you here. To my audience, Ben Wikner is a social entrepreneur. He's a pastor, executive director of the Cross Community, and he also ran for the office. So, Ben, please introduce yourself and we'll also talk about, your history. How did you start all this? What's coming up for the next 2 years and a few others.
All right, that's a lot, Shri. But thank you for inviting me, and happy to have this conversation with you. Hope it serves your audience. So yeah, my name is Ben Wikner. I'm been a pastor for 25 years, kind of a traditional pastor for many of those years, but never really felt satisfied with the impact and effectiveness. Really never sensed that we were doing the work that Jesus called us to do, at least that very effectively. I saw a lot of ineptitude. I saw a lot of kind of wasted time and space, wasted buildings, wasted money, and I just didn't think that was good stewardship. I didn't really see that this is what Jesus was calling me or the church to. And so I guess God has always kind of given me that heart of an entrepreneur. Like, how can we do it better? How can we be more impactful and effective and more, and steward the limited time and resources that we all have. And so um all of that led to, with the coming of the pandemic in 2020, kind of an explosion of need, of course, and then an explosion of opportunity to serve the community more effectively. And so for the past 5 years, I've been a fairly non-traditional pastor, still serving the community in kind of a pastoral role, but I'm not doing sermons. I'm not doing Sunday services. We do community services, and the congregation that I pastor probably don't even know that they're members, or they're not members because we don't take membership, but that they probably don't even recognize that they're part of a church community, and that is okay because we are about serving them whether they recognize that or not, and ultimately trying to improve the community for the good of everyone.
Great, amazing, amazing what you're doing, Ben. So let's start with your community service, which you also experienced a couple of weeks ago. Let's start with that.
So yes, you visited our one of our food distributions at Gaithersburg Middle School. We've been doing this. Actually, that's where we got our start because back in April of 2020, Meredith McNerney, who was then the principal at Gaithersburg Elementary, friend of mine, we were talking with the pandemic, what are the great needs in the community? She said, food. Our people are going to be desperate for food. And Title One school, 90+% immigrant, many with status challenges, legal and language challenges. And so food was going to be a problem. We're like, okay, well, let's figure out how to help feed the community. And we actually had no background in that. But this is where I just feel like God opened up doors in a big way. Just when I look back without having any background or experience in food resourcing and supply chain and logistics. We went from zero to, within 5 months, we were the largest food distribution site in Montgomery County, serving at one point more than 1,000 households per event. We were doing it at that time, Lake Forest Mall, which was, oh, it was one of the craziest experiences I've ever done, trying to control traffic and flow with 1,000 cars there, and probably 80 volunteers. It was madness, but we learned a lot from that, and we got better. We improved our systems, and the event that you saw was much more of the learned, controlled, hopefully less chaotic version of what we've been doing now for almost 5 years. And I think we served 170 households at that event, Sri. And you know, um, we get 50 to 60 volunteers on a Saturday. They come out, rain, wind, snow, sleet. And really the only thing that we wouldn't do it is if the snow just makes it too dangerous or slippery or what have you. But the people come out. That's the thing. And I've seen the need increase over the course of the last, I'd say, year or so. There's been a slow uptick of people coming, and And so the need is obviously there still.
Yeah, it was great. Even like it was Saturday morning, 7 a.m. There were like already 60, 70 volunteers already lined up there to help, stack up the boxes for people to ready to go to donate. So it was pretty amazing the community you have built and the volunteership you have built.
Yeah, it's one of the things that really is very encouraging and satisfying is that we see people come out. We have no short supply of volunteers, which is awesome. People want to come, they want to serve, they want to participate in being a part of the solution, and that is deeply encouraging because I think we need that more than ever. That sense of community, of sense of togetherness, that we can make a difference if we link up arms and we really use our services in the community as a way to encourage people to service and to collaboration. It opens our eyes to the need, but it also gives them a sense of like, wow, I'm making a difference. And I think, Shri, that we need that more than ever. It's like, hey, we can make a difference and we need to be that difference in this world.
How do you procure the produce
Oh,
which you donate? Like who are the sponsors or like, what are the steps involved there?
yeah. So 90 to 95% of everything that we distribute, we've just uh gain through our supply chain channels. These are and they come from different sources. So some of the sources include like uh Coastal Sunbelt Foods, Sam's Club, Levon Bakery, uh, sometimes we get it from fa local farmers, Sweet Seasons produce. These are all companies who are looking to both be generous to the public with excess produce or like maybe things which have expired and they can't get rid of it, but it's still very good. And so we've created the supply chains to be able to have them get from their warehouses and distribution centers into the community that needs it. And then, of course, we come there with our volunteers. The logistics are one of the biggest challenges. But once you've kind of figured out the logistics, again, and we've been doing this a while, it becomes fairly smooth. And so we move about 1.5 million pounds of food every year is what we've been averaging for the last 4 to 5 years.
It's just crazy, right?
Well, and that's just the beginning because it's like the Bible says, well, actually, this is not the Bible, but this was taken from the Bible that, give them a fish, uh, feed them for a day, but teach them the f fish and you feed them forever. And so we sometimes are giving the fish, the produce, whatever, but really what we want to do is teach people to fish, to teach them self-sufficiency and access and ability to be able to support themselves, their families, their community, and to give back. And I think at the end of the day, we all want that sense that we have the ability to give back to the community. To those whom much has been given, much is required, and all of us have been given much in our lives, whether through our parents, whether through friends, whether through our teachers, whether through, some patron, our church, it could be. And but we need to have that heart, that sense of, oh, how do we invest what we've been given to serve the good of others? And not only the heart to do that, but then the means, the opportunity. And I think
Right.
that's one of the biggest things we do is we give people the means to give back. We organize that, we make it possible. And so then we just need to fit people in and or and it works out really well that way.
True, true. So how does people get to know that, like you're doing this food donation program? Like what are the channels you use and like how?
Yeah, so we're not big promoters or marketers. We've got honestly zero budget for promotion and marketing. I guess if we were a for profit, that would probably be different. But our the way that people know about it is really through word of mouth, and that's certainly grown our operations. And truth be told, there's only so much growth we can handle, certainly at any given time. And so we're not trying to get bigger necessarily. We're just trying to become more effective, more efficient, more impactful. again, using the resources the best that we can, and stewarding that. So yeah, the word gets out because people talk. The volunteers talk. The guests that come, many of the guests that come become volunteers, and so it's there's no like the haves and the have-nots or the givers and the receivers. We're all part of the same community, and the truth is that we all receive in some way, and then the question is do we all give back?
Right, yeah. Giving is required. And I know you're focusing mainly on the Gaithersburg and Montgomery Village area, correct?
Yeah, one thing we learned early on, or I guess we prioritized was local impact to go deeper and not wider. And so we uh we really tried to focus where the need was, which is this side of Gaithersburg, east of 270, in the 20877 zip code, and then Montgomery Village, 20886, which also has tremendous need. There's a um four census tracts which are in these two zip codes that have over 30% child poverty. One of them has over 40% child poverty. And so they are deep pockets of need, and they happen to be right here in our neighborhood.
Wow, wow. 30-40%, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So I know you touched upon like that donation for produce, but are there any other means of like grants or funding you receive so that you can, do your more of these, not just the produce part? I know I'm sure you do a lot of things, right? So can you expand more on
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, we get about I mean we estimate about one over $1 million worth of donated food and resources, some feminine hygiene supplies, diapers, or other things. But then yes, we also get grant funding that pays the bills, salaries and overhead and things of that nature. And so I think last year we were at about a little over $400,000 of just straight grants, and this upcoming year it might be significantly higher, but it does take money to run these operations. But really the real strength is in the power of the in-kind services, the volunteers and the donated things.
Right, right. Nice, nice. So what did you learn from 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 the past 4 years?
Yeah, I mean this is really where it's at, right? Because it's all always about learning, Shri. It's like we went from knowing so little. We just knew that there was need, but we didn't even know like what does that need look like in the depths of it or in the nuances of it. And so I think one of the things that may characterize us, I don't know how different this, but certainly does characterize us, is that we really are deeply embedded in the community. We are the very opposite of some kind of like well-intentioned do-good organization that parachutes into a neighborhood and says, "Okay, we're here to save you." No, we're in fact, there's almost kind of a selfishness to what we do, a self-interest anyway, and that is that when we support the community and the neighborhood, we're supporting ourselves because we live right here. We work
Right,
right here. By it's like the saying, in terms of when the tide rises, all boats rise with it. And so we're all in the same lake, right? We're all here in the
right,
local pond, and so we're trying to have the tide rise here in the local pond so that all the boats can rise with it. But I think one of the lessons that we've really learned is that the problem is that so many people don't even have boats. You can't have boats rising with the tide if there are some people just they're boatless. They don't have access because of the unjust and inequitable systems that exist, or their boats are so leaky or so broken down that again it's no good to have the tide rise. So while there is a level of community self-interest in doing this work, there has to be a sense of those who have boats that work, right? Some who have bigger boats, really taking an interest in those who don't have boats or whose boats are broken down, so that we can all benefit from the good things that are provided here in the community, that are available here. So I think one of the lessons is just in order to do that effectively, that you have to constantly be listening. You've got to yourself be a learner. And so again, I'm all for Ivy League education. I'm all for well-hearted DC, government interest, but really they don't know what's going on here locally, and they
Right.
never will unless they really live here. Unless they really rub elbows and walk with the people. And that's what we have sought to do. And maybe that in some ways it causes us to be a little bit slower about it, but I think we're also much more effective. And the net impact is that the community trusts us more because again, we're not some over there and then we come into the neighborhood to do good. No, we're right here in the midst of it, and we're all the same people. We all are human beings. And there's a collaborativeness despite how the differences we may have of education or social economic or religious racial backgrounds or whatever. There's a real sense of comity and collaboration and cooperation, and that's one of the biggest lessons is that's what it requires. The more we separate, the more we distinguish between us and them, I think the less effective we are, and just the more difficult we make it. I recently finished a book called The Upswing by who's the Bowling Alone guy? Robert Putnam. And in The Upswing, his constant refrain is turning the I into the we. And if there's going to be an upswing in society, in improvement, that we have to be thinking in according to the we. And I think he's 100% right. And organizations that for some reason, they do a lot of good work with food and resources and employment, but there's just too much separation and not enough connection. In ultimate, I think those efforts are going to be unsuccessful and they're not going to be effective. And so that's one of the biggest lessons. One of the many, many, many lessons we've learned throughout this process. I think that's one of the biggest.
Wow, that's a great lesson. Talk to me a little bit about what's coming up in the next year.
Yeah. So we definitely this is where we started off simple, small. We're still small. That allows us to be pretty nimble, which I think is important. We can be responsive, and I don't think we don't want to be big, but we are getting more sophisticated. We're getting more I guess capable of handling complex needs and systems. So upcoming, we are in the process of starting up an early childhood education center, a development center. We've received funding from state and local. Yeah, I mean, we're super excited. I mean, and this has been a hard process. There's nothing easy or simple about this. You got to find the right space. You got to work with Maryland State Department of Education with all the legal and compliance and codes. Obviously, you got to have the funding, and then you got to figure out how to run an operation. That's no small feat to run an operation. But what we really want to do is we want to run this operation because for us, it's about community development. And community development, yes, we want to uh, really catalyze and harness the power of serving young families and children right from the very get-go, brain development from the get-go, and give them a head start, a right from the beginning of their life. But it's so much more than that. And so what we want to do is have a wellness center, a place where the early childhood development with the families who are already involved there, but it's also a women's health center. It is a youth empowerment center because we need a place for youth to go. In today's world, just young people are just they're on their phone, they're in school, hopefully the
Yeah.
two things not at the same time. but it's just really hard being a teenager today. And so we're trying to work on that. We actually have a program at Gaithersburg High School right now called Calmer Student Society, and we're seeing 50 plus students come out every Wednesday to participate in that, which is just an amazing thing. And this just started this school year. And so and all of this we envision being a social enterprise where what we want to see is wealth development, the opportunity for upward mobility, for social economic mobility through ownership. Okay, we feel like that is the best way. So it's a social enterprise and entrepreneurship
Right.
center where all of these entities are actually owned by members of the community. They're owned by the employees, and so there can be an opportunity for wealth buildup from members in the community. It's a long-term vision. It's a long-term project, and a lot of it means that we're in it to give things away, you know. And I mean that's already our heart. And so, you know, a lot of the work that we do in building the infrastructure in the foundation ultimately is to then invite others to take ownership of that and to then benefit for their own families and their upward mobility, and hopefully then for their reinvestment into the community as well. I mean, that's the goal and expectation. So yeah, those are some of the things that we're on the cusp of. We're praying diligently and working very hard to try to accomplish, but it does honestly, Shri, a lot of the work that we've done, there definitely feels like just divinity. Like
Hmm.
there's a
Yep.
much bigger force and hand at work than us, because I don't feel like we could have done what we've done by ourselves or in our own wisdom and strength. And yet with more powerful forces behind us, we've been able to do things which is kind of like wow, what this is so much bigger than any of us individually. And so it's exciting to see some of that even starting to come to fruition here. I think we're on the cusp of it. I think 2025 could be where we start seeing it very tangibly.
Great, amazing. So we invest in people in the community so that they grow, they become probably an entrepreneurs, and then they can help serve the community and help grow the community. So that's a very noble cause which you are striving for. And
Yeah. Well, it's giving those who have lacked access for this or that reason, uh, race, gender, language, lack of documentation, and opening up pathways for them to benefit and then for them also to contribute.
yes, yeah, you are helping those marginalized communities come into the limelight.
Exactly. Exactly.
Running for the council part. Can you talk more a bit about it?
What would you like to know, Shri?
I don't know, I just wanted to understand like what it actually takes.
So I had no ambition whatsoever, just so you know. Very busy family. We have 7 children. We have 2 grandchildren, and you know, very full there. We love it. Our grandchildren live locally, and so we invest a lot into our family. Obviously, investing in the community through this organization and through the work. And so it never even occurred to me to run for office, but uh, in 2022, uh, got a call from an elected official who we were talking, and he just throws out of the blue. It's like, Ben, have you ever considered running for office? I think somebody like you would really do well, and I think we need people like you in public service. And he laid out the situation as like, actually, there's a really good opening where you live, and it was for county council. It was a new
Right.
district, and so there was no incumbents, and it was kind of wide open. And I literally went from never even had the thought of running for office to having talked to my wife and children and just kind of given it over to prayer and consideration. I think within a course of a weekend, it was like, I think I'm supposed to do this. Which is, of course, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. So bottom line is yes, I ran for county council in 2022. It's a primary race because whoever wins the primary is going to win the general there. District 7. All right, I think it's district. Wow, I can't believe I don't remember it. I'm pretty sure it was District 7 of the
Mhm.
council, and ended up running against six other people. So there were seven of us total. The I came in third place, which is for somebody who's never run for office before, has no base,
Yeah.
knocked on like, I don't know, 10,000 doors or something like that. Actually won two precincts. I'm very proud of that, Shri. I won two precincts outright. And
Wow.
it was only one of three that won any precincts. Now, the race was run by Dawn Ludke, and so she's now our council person elect from the district, and she's doing a fantastic job. Very proud of all her efforts, and we became friends through the process. And so there was a lot of benefit to me running, experiencing, connecting, talking to people and listening to them at that level. We raised something like $70,000 over the course of 4 months as well, and spent it all, of course, on the race. And so I will say, looking back, it was one of the best things I've ever done, but it was also one of the hardest things I've ever done. It was exhausting. Okay. So I don't have any intentions of running again for any offices, but
Hmm.
I will say I really enjoyed it and so glad that I did have that experience.
Right. Yeah. I think yeah, I can agree with that because it's almost always that the hardest things you do or give you more cherishment over the course of time because I'm into running and my first marathon was a pain, but after that I mean I tell people like I ran a marathon. I'm like wow, that's one of our accomplishments. So nothing is easy, right? So
Well, and that's a good analogy because you're running marathons, right, Shri? Which I
mhm.
can't even imagine how painful that would be and taxing that would be. But they call it running for office for a reason because
Right.
it's painful and taxing and exhausting, and you don't want to do it too often, that is for sure.
Yeah, correct. Maybe I know you do. You have an office, like
Not
or
really. I mean, we have
mhm.
a legal office, a corporate office that is where we get our mail. But this again is something that has characterized us is that for our existence thus far, we have just shared space with other organizations, partners, collaborators, and so we'll have meetings at the Gaithersburg Church of the Nazarene. We'll hold office at Grace Life. We have events at New Covenant Fellowship. We'll do community. We have events at Gaithersburg Elementary and Gaithersburg Middle School and Gaithersburg High School,
Nice.
and we just utilize our partner space, and that keeps our bills down and it keeps
Yeah,
our
exactly.
nimbleness
Mhm.
capability intact. With that said, moving forward to your previous question, there is a place for having your own space and owning that and having control over that. So for the childhood development center and whatnot, we're gonna need that, and that will hopefully be our own space here in early 2025.
Nice. So how many apart from the volunteers, how many part-time or full-time staff do you have?
So we have six full-time staff and two part-time staff. Some of our staff, though, we have, and because even that is larger than budget our size. However, well, I know, I guess it makes sense. We partner with the Maryland State Department of Service and Civic Innovation. It is a workforce development program started 2 years ago by Governor Wes Moore. And honestly, it's a brilliant idea, very challenging to start from scratch. Talk about entrepreneurial. You
Yeah.
don't think of government being very entrepreneurial, but they have started this. They've launched it from ground zero, and we were part of it from the get-go, and now we're in the second year. So three of our staff we get grant funded through the DSCI, and it's just it is an effective program that not only benefits us so that we can get our work done, but then benefits the community and absolutely benefits the employees that get a full-time job and the kind of experience that they're getting both through DSCI as well as through our organization and the community work.
Last question, probably two. Uh, where can people find you and how can people join your mission? That's number one. Number two, what's some words of wisdom for the viewers?
Let me start with your first question. So you can find us on our website, www.theequitycenter.org, theequitycenter.org. It's probably the best way to find out about what we do and get connected with us. Um, we're here all over Gaithersburg and Montgomery Village, so you'll see us out and about. Again, you won't see many, or if any, advertisements or promotions from us, but yeah, that's why the website is going to be the best. And then what was your second question, Sri?
Words of wisdom for the viewers.
Words of wisdom. Um, oh, by the way, you asked how can they
Join
join
your
our
mission. Yes,
mission? Join our
yes,
mission.
yes, yes.
That is a really good question. Because really what our mission is to have generational systemic impact that benefits everyone, and especially those who are marginalized and who are shut out right now, right? And so this is a collective effort. And just the other day, I had a mom of three children, a typical suburban mom, I would say upper middle class, white, semi-affluent, but she's really, like most people, how can I serve? How can I be a part of the good work? And this is a mom of three little children asking that. You know, I don't think she's in a great position to come out to our food distributions with babies, and that kind of thing, guess safety concerns and everything else. But what it's going to take is people like her, and this is what I said to her, is that we need your advocacy, we need your support. Join the movement of people who are saying, yes, I'm a part of the community. I want to be a part of the solution. I add my voice, my name to the good work because I think, again, more than ever, we need that sense of solidarity, that sense of community, in fighting that tide of us versus them, of this against that party, and all the lies and the nonsense and the ridiculousness in order to serve ourselves and our own interests and our own party or our own power. It is, I think people are getting so, well, I hope people are getting sick and tired of that, politics as usual, which has gotten so ugly. And what we need solidarity amongst the people in the community to say, hey, listen, no, we're going to work together and fight those forces that are tearing people apart and tearing our community apart. And so whether it's the white suburban housewife and mom, or whether it is the immigrant working three jobs, or whether it's the elderly person, whether it's the young high school kid in the deep end of youth culture, we can all link up arms together in ways that are unique and powerful and much needed today. So that's what I would say in terms of how they can support the mission. Okay. Now, your last question, words of wisdom, maybe this. I would call myself a bridger, Shri. I
Mm-hmm.
do bridging work.
Right.
Uh, Bridgers are those that connect, and people that maybe wouldn't normally connect. Um, And so whether it's economic, racial, just, we all tend to be segmented and live in our own little, more comfortable little segments. And bridges are like, no, we need to cross over and see how the other side is thinking and feeling and doing. And so I guess my word of wisdom is this, is that bridging work is difficult. As somebody once said, the thing about being a bridge is you get walked on. And I haven't been doing this work for a while. Yeah, you do feel tread on sometimes and stretched. It is and uncomfortable. But while it is difficult work, bridging work is necessary work. We have to have those who are willing to not only build the bridges, be the bridges, but then also walk over the bridge to be able to make these connections. So that's the word of wisdom is that we need that, I think, more than ever today.
Amazing. Thank you, Ben, so much for your time. Looking
You're
forward to seeing you again.
you're very welcome. Thanks for doing this work, Sri. Thank you for your heart and interest, and I hope that you help to build this movement.
Sure. Yeah, I would like to be the pioneer in that. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. You have a great day.
You too. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.